The post-harvest period was always associated with joy. It was a time for counting the yield, celebrating and resting. However, every farmer remembers where this yield came from a small seed placed in the soil. For this reason, the post-harvest period is a time for farmers to restore the minerals, water and organic matter used by the soil, hence taking care of the stubble. These actions turned out to be essential for abundant harvest in the following years as well. Let's take a look at the objectives of stubble care and how they influence future yields. The main procedure for enriching the soil with nutrients and organic matter is to leave the straw after harvest and thoroughly mix it with the soil. It turns out that with a yield of 2 tons per hectare, well-mineralized straw returns to the soil after cultivation the nutrients as per data you now see on the screen, along with the manganese, zinc, calcium, magnesium and even copper. Of course, these are approximate values as the amount of straw and the rate of mineralization depend on many factors. In any case, it is important to remember that these are quickly available and easily absorbable minerals from subsequent crops. A significantly higher percentage of these minerals is absorbed by plants compared to those supplied in fertilizers. However, it is worth mentioning that if complete mineralization does not occur, the straw, instead of returning nutrients to the soil, begins to rot. This then leads to the development of fungi and subsequent acidification, which results in a reduction in the number of nitrogen-fixing bacteria. Mineralized straw is primarily broken down into carbon, which serves as a building block for plants. However, it should be taken into account that depending on the type of straw, this process consumes large amounts of nitrogen from the soil. It is therefore worth remembering to replenish it with a dose of 5 to 10 kilograms per 1 ton of plowed mass and even higher on light soils before mixing it with the soil. Some also recommended spreading lime with magnesium to the straw. However, it slows down its decomposition. For this reason, improving the soil's pH should be delayed, or even a gap should be made between nitrogen or manure fertilization and liming. These elements react in contact, leading to the release of ammonia, resulting in the loss of part of the nitrogen. To replenish nutrients and accelerate straw mineralization, preparations containing selected strains of bacteria can be used. Some of them improve root development, allowing the plant to absorb more water. Others can fix up to 50 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare, and still others the same amount of fresh humus from 100 kilograms of straw. It is often mentioned that humus can retain 4 or 5 times more water than it weighs, or 800 times more than clay particles. Properly caring for the stubble helps to rebuild soil moisture levels. This in turn supports the next objective of stubble cultivation, which is retaining water in the soil. Since always, the first procedure after harvesting aimed to interrupt evaporation. A bare field loses enormous amounts of water day by day, which is essential for seeds to germinate. Nowadays, a bare position is rarely left because many tests show that straw scattered on the surface is the best insulting layer that prevents water evaporation. Many farmers still use shallow plowing to destroy the capillary system. On one hand, you can tear the stubble in one pass. In this case, you need to set the working depth of the machine's tines, cultivator or chisel plow according to the amount of straw left in the field. For example, if there is 5 tons per hectare, the working depth should be 10 to 15 centimeters. On the other hand, dividing this operation into one shallow pass and then a deeper one to mix the straw with the soil allows you to save almost twice as much water. Many farmers emphasize that, for example, in the case of maize, the most water-saving method is harrowing to a depth of 8 to 10 centimeters and strip-till sowing in the spring without spring cultivation. For cereals, the depth is 3 to 8 centimeters because, especially in dry years, you need to interfere with the soil structure as little as possible. For this reason, the system of ultra-shallow cultivation has recently gained popularity. A heavy disc harrow will work well on dry soil. In simplified or no-plow cultivation, multi-beam aggregates help to reduce the number of passes over the field. Regardless of what machines we have at our disposal, it is worth remembering to compact the soil properly in the sowing layer. A more uneven surface loses more water. Therefore, even the simplest additional section, drag, comb beam, or string or pipe roller that helps to break it up is very useful. An undisturbed deeper structure and a properly loosened, leveled top layer provide ideal conditions for water retention and plant development. Reducing weed infestation also plays an important role in stubble cultivation. Volunteers and weeds left on the stubble steal nutrients and water from future crops. For example, plants with a height of 10 cm causes a loss of 12 liters per square meter. They can be removed mechanically by making two passes. The first one is to stimulate the growth of weeds and volunteers, and the second, performed in the cotyledon phase, to destroy them. Farmers still have the option of using non-selective herbicides. Many preparations contain fast-acting glyphosate. It allows mechanical cultivation as soon as 2 days after application for annual weeds, volunteers, or rape, or after 5 days when controlling couch grass and other perennial weed species. Interestingly, fighting weeds on stubble even in late autumn is more effective and cheaper than in spring. An additional benefit of using glyphosate and/or shredding stubble is the interruption of the connection between the previous crop and the next one. This limits the transfer of diseases from the roots of volunteers to the roots of newly sown plants in monoculture. Intensive stubble cultivation is particularly recommended in narrow rotations with rapeseed because pests feeding there can survive on harvest residues for up to 4 years. In this way, the corn borer larvae are also combated, which can overwinter in undisturbed harvest residues, or maybe a catch crop on the stubble. All the aforementioned goals can be achieved with the sowing of stubble catch crops, which would be the last treatment on the stubble. It is usually done after soil property tests and appropriate fertilization. This involves an even tighter schedule in August. It is best to sow it by August 20-25, but it brings numerous benefits. Of course, you should choose plants or mixtures with a short vegetation period, early and rapid initial growth, and low soil and water requirements. However, their growth must be halted at the flowering stage before they begin to draw large amount of water from the soil. Otherwise, they will extract the remaining water from the soil. You can use, for example, a ProCut knife roller and a no-plow soil cultivation unit like the U436 from Rolmako. Maybe you're wondering who we are at all? Rolmako is a manufacturer of agricultural machinery, mostly exporting its products to foreign markets. Currently, we want to focus on Poland, aiming to utilize the experience gained in the international market, which provides a solid foundation for our actions. However, are we a good partner? What is our mission and strategy, and what can we offer our clients and dealers? We encourage you to learn more about our brand's history. You can find out everything from our presentation available at rolmako.com/presentation. What are your proven methods for stubble cultivation? Or maybe use a completely different system? Let us know in the comments what works best for you. For today, we say goodbye and see you in the next episode.